welcome to another edition of Songs of the Ozarks, a project of the Ozarks Studies Institute, an ongoing initiative of the Missouri State University Libraries. I'm Emily Flatness, and today's date is March 23rd, 2022. Our special guest today is the Honkytonk Renovators, and this interview is occurring in the home of Jack Pearman. Honkytonk Renovators, welcome.
Howdy.
Thanks so much for meeting with me today.
You're welcome. Always. Thanks for having us.
Of course, always. So my first question is, are you guys all natives of the Ozarks?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I'm a transplant. I come from North Missouri. Born in 1970. We moved down here. My dad bought some property down here because he likes trout fish. So, along with trout fishing, he also liked country music, so we'd go to Branson. And I'd watch country music shows all the time. Presley's, Ball Mobbers, Lowe's, all of the Bobby Links, all of them. So I started watching the drummer. And that's where I got my start, I guess. Paying attention to the drummers.
So you still spend a lot of time in the Ozarks, you'd say?
I live here now, yes. I love it here. I wouldn't go back to St. Joe for nothing.
So did any of your guys' ancestors or relatives play music?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did.
Would you like to go first?
Go
or-
for it, buddy.
Well, I think I would say that's just the broke hillbilly way of living. They have no money, they have no TVs, that's
No
all they
phone.
know. No phone, no credit cards,
Lucky to have a
all that kind of
radio.
stuff. So I remember hearing stories when I was a kid that my dad used to take little transistor radios, and they lived up in the barn in the loft, and they would tie a wire from it to the bed spring and hang it out the window of the barn, and then he could pick up the Opry on Saturday nights.
There you go.
There was names dropped for years of Bob Holt and all these fiddle players around that would come over, and Shorty with Grandpa would come through on his way home from work and just tell everybody there was music at the house. And all the boys and girls, they figured out how to play just watching everybody else. Grandma and Grandpa couldn't play a lick. Either one of them could. But they all played, and some of them almost kind of made it. I had an aunt that played, she was on the Opry as a fill-in with the Carter family and played with some big names here around town, Speedy Hallworth and Harold. And, it was that's just where they went. That's what they did for entertainment. Jackson.
Same deal. I was raised the same way. My dad drove a truck, and on weekends he'd come home, and as soon as he'd get home, we'd go somewhere and he'd be playing. That's what he done. I can remember the first time I ever walked on stage. I was 3 years old, and my grandma told me that she would give us kids a nickel if we'd get up and sing. Of course, we got up and sang.
Yeah.
And it was at London, Missouri. And they had a jam every Saturday night. They'd drive their teams of mules, and if you had a car or whatever you had at the time, that's how they got there. And that's how we communicated back then. I mean, that was Saturday nights was
Social gathering.
Yeah, that's
Either that or church on Sunday.
on church on Sunday. That's what we done. And of course, my dad played. My grandpa played. My dad played. My dad was the original member of Blue Ridge Mountain Boys. That band was started probably in the mid-50s, thereabouts. And of course, he drug us kids to music shows and festivals, and for years and years and years. I'll never forget, he had guitars and banjos and mandolins and everything around the house all the time. And he was a truck driver, like I said, and he'd throw the instruments on the bed, all of them. He said, "You kids, leave them alone. Don't you touch those." Of course, as soon as he left, we're in there beating the tire out of them, And that's how I learned how to play. That's what we done. But yeah, big long history of music in my family for sure.
So Steve, you said you grew up in St. Joe.
Well, I was born in St. Joe.
Okay.
By the time I was born, my dad had bought property in Bennett Springs area, and he liked to trout fish, so that's why we went there. And I bounced around quite a bit because he was a pastor, so we traveled churches all the time because he was always getting called to preach. But my mom played piano and organ, and she sang in church, so I think I got it from her, you know, my musical side. But my brother did a lineage of our family many years ago, and apparently there was a Graham family band at one point, but most everybody's from the North Missouri, like northwest Missouri. But yeah,
It's not too far from the Ozarks.
not too far.
Where'd you grow up, Jack?
Mansfield, Missouri,
Okay.
which is about 60 miles east of Springfield from where we are. Lived on a farm, Pea Ridge. That's what it was called, Pea Ridge. And in between Mansfield and Hartville, Missouri.
Okay.
That's where I was raised. So,
What about you, Paul?
I grew up here in Springfield, actually. My family is from Hartville and Wasola area, so they're kind of same roots from that back with Jack.
I knew Paul when he wore diapers. You know, I played music with his dad for years and years and years and years and years, and his cousins and his uncles and his aunts, and you know, I grew up playing with them over the years, and it's odd that now we're in a band together.
Yeah. I remember going over to the old house, and that bass that's in the other room, back in you guys' bedroom there, and it's just always hanging up, and it's like, man, that thing, how do you play that? It's weird how the circles kind of tighten up, but you know, that was through this area period. It's a small community. Everybody wants to think it's not, but really it's pretty small. That 7 degrees of bacon is really pretty heavy around here. You know,
It's
somebody
real
knows
heavy.
somebody.
Like I live in your grandpa's house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of how it works out. But you know, he was on stage, and I'll give you a nickel for singing, and that's what I was doing the same thing when I was a kid. And Grandpa and Shorty would be sitting there at the table, smoking a cigarette, and I'll give you these little circus peanuts.
Oh, sure.
He'd say, sing me a song, and as soon as walk in the door, he'd have to sing him a song real quick, and you get a circus peanut.
Yep.
But that's how they did everything.
Paul, I know you mentioned some of the old timers like Bob Holt.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of different locations would you say in the Ozarks were kind of places that you guys know where these musicians would congregate and kind of this music was born out of?
Well, the Bob Hope, I played with Bob several times. Yeah, I'm that old. But yeah, and Bob was phenomenal fiddle player. Phenomenal fiddle player. I mean, a fiddle player. And
Was he a fiddle player?
yeah, he was. But he, you know, and again, it's that the jams were everywhere. I mean, they would be a jam at London, they would be a jam in Mansfield, they would be a jam and that's where all of this came from, was there.
And they still are.
They still are.
I've got an uncle that every night of the week he has a show, and it's somebody's house, and a lot of it's opening up this, but I'm sure you remember. But I remember when I was a kid, we would go down to these jam sessions, and it's somebody's house, and they'd have a potluck, or, you know, whatever, and but Mom would make us a pallet in the next room because we were little, so you just went over there and you go to sleep, and it'd be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and these guys are still picking.
Pie suppers.
Pie suppers,
Oh my goodness.
Yep. And then, but that's all they did, and
That's what we did.
that was the weekend.
That's how we communicated. That's how we.
Kept
That's
up
what
with
you
everybody.
done.
When I lived in my house in town in Springfield, I had an old man that was a neighbor of mine. He lived there for 60 years, 50 or 60 years, whatever it was. And he lived right behind me, and he said, as I got to know him, I got to hear stories from him about how every front porch on the north side of town over there there would be a band or somebody picking somewhere.
Mhm.
Every porch. He said you walk down the street and there's people playing on every porch, different tunes, you know, different songs, whatever. And then he said, you know, he knew a lot of the members that played at the Jubilee.
Yeah.
And well, Willie Nelson was one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he had lots of pictures with him and Willie. And he said one time Willie, they pulled the bus up up on Dale Street right there by our house, the old house. And Willie come over to visit for a little bit before they left out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that all the time around Springfield. So the music roots in this area is thick.
Yeah. I mean, there's pickers everywhere in this area.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, especially when it was the Jubilee, you had the Jubilee and the Hayride and the Opry,
Yeah.
and if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to play Springfield.
Yeah.
And even up until early '90s,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, it was still pretty. There were some pretty good bands, maybe not in the country bluegrass side of it, but that kind of took off. You know, this was kind of a place to play.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, what was that guy's name? He was the one that promoted all the bands that come through town.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
I can't remember.
Sam something, wasn't it? Wasn't it Sam something?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But yeah, there's just so much history here, it's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you guys say, if anything, differentiates music in the Ozarks from music in other regions?
You know, I really can't answer that because I'm from the Ozarks. This is what I know.
Mm.
I don't know fiddle players in Nebraska or wherever.
And we know
This
they're
is
there. We know there's
that,
somebody
I'm
there.
sure.
You know, I don't know what it is either. You know, I've gone to Little Rock, Arkansas thinking there was going to be a music scene down there when we went downtown one time. There really wasn't. I mean, there was cover bands, but I mean, we're kind of a cover band, but it's...
You know, I think a lot of it in this area came from the Jubilee.
Mm.
I think that's what drawed a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And
You know,
that's
the
why this
Carters lived here for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what saturated this area so heavy. Ransom. You know, that's the draw here.
Well, you know, they say all roads lead to Branson.
Well, I guess.
Valid point.
Yeah, between the music and the go-karts, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why would
Bumper
Right.
boats, don't forget.
No, boats, my bad, sorry.
Well, I know you, Jack, have played all across the country.
Yeah.
Do you find it different playing in the Ozarks versus playing in other regions?
I find it now, back then, it wasn't different back then because I didn't know any better, because I hadn't been anywhere. But today, it seems like if you go up north and east, man, they love it.
Hmm.
They love it. And I don't know if it's because this area is so saturated with it,
Mm.
that it's not, maybe, not as appreciated, maybe. I'm just saying that, but we can go up and play Wisconsin, Minnesota,
Hmm.
you know, and those people, that they love it.
Hmm.
And
They love it so much they drove down here to see us play.
Absolutely. You know?
2 or 3 different times we've had several
And
couples
here,
do that.
and again, here, I think it's so saturated that that's what you expect.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I said about Little Rock. You know, I've been in Springfield for 25 years or more, and you know, I can go downtown. I can go see a band. I know all the musicians around here, so I can go see a band any night of the week.
Right.
You know, you go to Little Rock, and it's like, oh, well, that's. I mean, let me rephrase. You can find a really good band any night of the week, you know, or good musicians that form a new band. There's a lot of different bands, but a lot of the same musicians in this town too. But Little Rock, there's just, you know.
And it's a lot like Nashville. I mean, we played Nashville before, and you know, we're walking down the strip, and we poke our head in any bar you want or any place place they're having live music, you can poke your head in and you go, why in the world am I playing here when you got this here?
Right.
You know, and it's just, it's different. It's just different. I don't think the music is the same. It's just people accept it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think there's a difference even between like this, Southwest Missouri music community, even different than, northern Arkansas, the Arkansas Ozarks?
I would say yes. And the only reason I say that, and you guys probably noticed too, from listening to stories from, my family, because it was, from the 50s and around that area, it was such a big contrast between Springfield and 50 miles east or south. It was it was a whole different time. Like linear time was different. I can remember guys from work, when I especially got up towards working in the shop and working age, and it was, you would listen to people talk about, well, Dad, I remember when we got color TV and we had a 57 Chevy and they were all new and everything was all this kind of stuff. And at the same age as my dad was and my mom was, and in that time period that they were talking about, my folks were in sharecropper homes and riding buggies, still back and forth. It was, they're living Grapes of Wrath, and these guys are living Happy Days, and it was just completely different. And it was hard to grasp. As a kid, it was really kind of weird because I'm watching Happy Days and listening to Dad talk about stories when they was growing up. And that's not the same. So I think that kind of, like you said, that's the way you communicated, that's the way you socialized, that's the way everything was. You could go buy a cheap instrument, or somebody would give you one. They are, and those guys, they made their own. They make their own banjo covers and stuff, and all this kind of thing. And it was, they just lived in a different time. And even today, I noticed that with, not so much with our group so much, but I hear people talk about, what do you do for, I play music on the weekends, it's kind of fun. But everybody has somebody, and you go to the more rural areas, then it seems like you find more of those bluegrass pickers. And somebody knows, oh yeah, they're still having little house parties here and there. And it doesn't seem like it maybe is prevalent here, but I'm not really in that circle here in town. But
well, we're not really in that circle in Arkansas either. So I personally, in my opinion, don't know what the contrast of music is in Northwest Arkansas because I'm not in that scene.
Yeah, true.
There could be stuff like that goes on down there. I just don't know where it's at.
Well, growing up, they played the same old bull and cabbage down, and but the banjo player would be playing a tenor banjo, instead of playing with picks. It was the same style.
Different style.
Yeah. And that came from their ancestors that brought it over here.
right.
The old fiddle tunes back then, they were old Bob Hope, old Irish. The old fiddle tunes. They're different. They're different than the fiddle tunes today. But yeah, it's changed over the years for sure.
So, you were talking about kind of the old time bluegrass. When people think of Ozarks music, they probably don't think of honky-tonk music.
No, they don't. They think of hillbilly music.
Right. Well, do you guys still think that your music is a reflection of the Ozarks, a reflection of your community?
I think it is more so now than it used to be.
Well, I think it is because all those folks all the songs that we cover, the musicians that we cover, they've all played here.
Yeah.
They traveled here to play the Ozark Jubilee because that's what they wanted. Johnny
Elvis.
Cash. Elvis.
All of them. You had to play here.
Yeah. Cy Simon, that's the guy's name.
Cy Simon, exactly.
He was the one that booked all the major acts in this
Yes,
town.
yes.
You had Slim and Red Foley,
Yes.
Slim Wilson, absolutely.
and all those and living here in town, and
Speedy Hallworth.
Speedy Hallworth, Harold Morrison.
Absolutely.
There's a
Jimmy
ton
Gaylord.
of them. Yep. But like you said, that kind of that honky tonk vibe, if you will, because of the Jubilee, I would say definitely Springfield for sure would be really country music. Yeah.
You know, it's cool to be the age I am, because I got to play with those guys.
Yeah.
I got to play with Slim Wilson, Speedy Hallworth, Harold Morrison, Jimmy Gayley.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I grew up with. I was a kid, but that's what I grew up with. My dad knew them. They'd come to the house and play. I got pictures of Monroe holding my kids, Bill Monroe holding my kids, you know, Jim and Jesse. That's the era that I grew up in, and it's different today. We done a show with Jody Messina. Maybe I shouldn't say this.
No, you shouldn't.
Don't worry, they'll
You
edit
can take
it.
that in.
But back in the day, those guys, you could get up next to them.
Mhm.
We played a show with Jody, and she locked us out for her sound check. And we were playing the show. She wouldn't let us in while she was doing her sound check.
Hmm.
That didn't happen back then.
Just
It
edit
just
her
didn't
name out.
happen. But I mean, that's
Yeah, you know, but it's
changed.
changed.
And bluegrass festivals, you can walk up to anybody you want to, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. On the countryside of it, not so much.
Mm.
It's different,
Depending on who it is,
depending on who it is.
you know. There's, you know, I mentioned Willie Nelson earlier, and there's a reason Willie Nelson's a legend. Because I went and watched the show, and he stood out there for 45 minutes shaking hands while the band played May the Circle Be Unbroken.
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes, everybody that come up to the stage, he was shaking their hands. I mean,
That's what they done back then.
that's what you do.
That's
You
what
know.
you do.
Because the people are there to hear you, and if you don't take care of the people that are taking care of you, then
Mhm.
you know what do you expect? But that's, you know, music business.
Yeah.
It seems like how do you put that? The bigger it gets as an artist, if you will, when they're kind of there's a certain area that they're not worried about making all the money and the fame and the fortune and the ego. There's been a couple places where we went and seen, and it was at one time they were huge acts, and to us they still are massive. But they were kind of doing what we do. Well, I just hate to drop names because I don't want to do the same thing, but I mean, you could go up and shake a hand.
Sure.
You know, I'm gonna see Marty. You know, I was like, hey, he's like a guy. I mean, it was like going to a club and meeting the band.
Right.
And they have that mentality, and the reason that they're not there to make a record label happy or something of that nature, and they're there because of the love of the music and that they're doing what they want to do, whether you like it or not. This is what I want to do, and somebody's going to like what I do. They're being honest to themselves, and they're usually pretty cool. I mean, they're usually somebody that you can go up and
Yeah,
have
for the
that.
most part, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, behind stage at the Opry. You know, those guys, you could go up to any of them. Been there, done that, you know. All of them. Little Jimmy Dickens, Bill Anderson, you know, Porter Wagner.
Goes on and on.
On and on and on, yeah. Got to meet
Porter
all of
Wagner,
them.
an Ozarker.
Huh?
Yeah.
Porter Wagner, an Ozarker.
Right.
West Plains, Missouri.
Yep.
You guys old straight.
Coming from the bluegrass side of it
Mhm.
and going to the countryside of it, it's a different animal, for sure.
Something I've noticed as being a musician and being able to play around, you know, the Midwest like we have, I meet you if you're a musician, even if you're not. I've met you one time, and we're always friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's something about music that I love, is because I've met the band members of Asleep at the Wheel. I've met Vince Gill, and they remember you, and you remember them, and it's funny. It's just
You got a common
bond.
thing
Yeah.
there. You're a brother,
Yeah, it's
or a
like
sister, or whatever.
all the Branson guys that we've played with.
Oh,
And we've had a lot of Branson musicians in this band,
Absolutely.
over the years,
Know them all. Know all of them.
and they still love to play with us if they get an opportunity.
So that's not something that you think is specific to the Ozarks region, but the internationally
I think it's
musicians have a
internationally.
different.
I mean, it may be just the style of music, because I played blues and I played rock and I played in funk, cover bands and whatever, rock cover bands, and I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are in other genres, but boy, the country genre is strong when it comes to that, and the bluegrass, they intermingle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like going to all them bluegrass festivals. Like you said, you just walk around with an instrument and just sit down and start picking with random
Anybody.
Whoever.
people. Anybody.
Anybody.
And while you're in that circle, you may look over and the band that just played was probably sitting there right there, were doing the same thing.
That's how I met Marty Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's stuff like
We were
that.
jamming behind stage, getting ready to go on, and this little guy walked up. Little guy. And I didn't know who he was. He was like 13, 14 years old.
How old were you?
I was 16, 17, whatever it was. And he come walking up, and we're picking, getting ready to go on. And he said, "Can I pick one with you?" And, "Oh yeah, man, sure, come on." Had his family. And he tore it up. And we look over at him and "What's your name?" "Marty Stewart." "Marty Stewart, huh?" He said, "Yeah, I play with Lester Flatt and Scruggs." It's like, oh, there you go.
Oh, you're that Marty.
Yeah. And after the show, he come around and we jammed some more. But that's what you do there. A common bond.
Common bond.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, that was perfect, guys.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
has been another edition of Songs of the Ozarks. Thank you so much, Honkytonk Renovators, for meeting with me.
You're welcome.